Christ himself transforms and empowers us to do as he commands. And that's what Jesus did with his own life to his disciples and to all who follow him. He not only showed the way with his example, but by explaining to them in a formation process and doing himself with his own sacrifice, the crowning moment that all Christians follow after. So in the time before the incarnation, God called a chosen people to be his own. That's what, as a church, we believe and we teach. But not all of the people follow the law and the prophets. So we could say at that time, the revelation of God was just a stage, a beginning. And then as the early Christians learned to live as a community by the example of Jesus Christ, questions arise regarding who may be included and what practices they ought to follow. And this is what the church have been building throughout the centuries. Strong community, strong institution based on the principles of Jesus Christ, those that he with his own life taught, and then based on the tradition of the church to commit themselves, all the bishops, including the Pope, to keep what Jesus taught and gave us. And that's how St. Paul instructs to all of us and to the early Christian community in Rome that both Gentiles and Jewish receive the gift of faith. And this, by this time, we all know this is true and not only applies to these two communities, Jewish and Christians, but God reveals himself to everyone who seeks with a good heart to him. So for all that receive the revelation of God, they all worship the same God, even though some of them are in that first stage of imperfectness, that stage which doesn't come through and doesn't transform into the principles that we know are pure and divine. Love, mercy, compassion, care for one another. Those are the principles that the church realized as the ones that Jesus taught to be the perfect principles for the perfection of the community. In other words, for the sanctity of the whole community. So, my dear brothers and sisters, as Paul says, who can separate us from God? If we know the principles Jesus taught, if we know we have to follow after that, and we have to commit to live those principles within us and out, then who can separate us from the love of God? Nothing, no one. Amen.